What is up, fight fans? Welcome to 2023. Happy New Year. And to start this year, I want for my first video to give my 13 major predictions for MMA in 2023. I did something similar in 2022. I was kind of hit or miss with some predictions, but I did get quite a few accurate picks. Let's see how I do this year. So I'm going to go in order. I'm going to go all the way from 1 to 13. Usually I'll go from the back number all the way to the end number, but this one will be a little bit different. So for prediction number 1, I predict that in the quadrilogy between Deiveson Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno, that it's going to end in a finish. I just can't shake that gut feeling. You know, they fought 3 times. And one of the 3 fights ended in a finish, but the first and the second were close decisions. The first being a draw, the third being a close decision that went to Figueiredo. But the first and the third were very similar in terms of being 5-round wars, where it seemed like neither man could finish one another when both are at their best and at their healthiest, and neither could really get a clear outcome or result over one another. But I think this time it ends here, and we're going to get a decisive ending because both men have taken so much damage from one another. It's crazy. The wars these two have had, I feel like a finish, a knockout is bound to happen. Moreno sub Figgy, but I think this time either Figueiredo is going to get his chin cracked and get finished, or Moreno might get knocked out by Deiveson Figueiredo. But one way or another, I don't see this one going to the cards. For prediction number 2, Pereira beats Israel Adesanya again, but then drops the belt to Robert Whittaker. I've been saying for a while that I do think we're going to see a rock, paper, scissors in the middleweight division between Adesanya, Pereira, and Robert Whittaker, where, you know, Izzy seems to have Whittaker's number, but Pereira has Adesanya's number. But then Whittaker is like a bad matchup for Alex Pereira. I do see Robert Whittaker regaining the title. I don't count Alex Pereira out. He's very dangerous, but styles make fights. And I believe Robert Whittaker, with the grappling offense in his back pocket and his ability to utilize his grappling offense on Alex Pereira and possibly exploiting Pereira's weakness on the ground, I think that will be enough to get back the world middleweight title for Robert Whittaker. But we shall see. But I do think he'll be champion again. For prediction number 3, I predicted this last year, but Tatiana took the extra time, but the time is now. 2023, Tatiana Suarez returns to active competition. She's confirmed, she said herself. So looks like next month, February, we will see her in the octagon. She might already have a fight on the low in the works, but Tatiana, after 4 years out of the game, is coming back, and she's going to make a new run in the women's flyweight division. I can't wait to see what she can do here, and hopefully she can make that top 5, and maybe by the end of the year, fast track to a title shot. Imagine we see Tatiana Suarez versus Valentina Shevchenko. That would be a massive fight. And for prediction number 4, I predict that Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare Usman, beats Leon Edwards in the trilogy to become a 2-time welterweight champion. Because even though Leon landed a picture-perfect, beautiful high kick to close the show, an amazing comeback after being down on the cards, we all saw how that fight went, and Kamaru Usman was so dominant against Leon Edwards. And if Usman is anything like he was in that second fight and all throughout his championship run, if he's not deterred from the knockout loss, Leon Edwards is going to have his hands full. Lightning doesn't strike the same place twice, and I can't see him beating Usman again if Usman is at his best. And Usman will once again be atop the welterweight division, and he'll be the guy that once again everybody is chasing for that belt. For prediction number 5, I predict that the trilogy between Zhang Weili and Rose Namajunas will happen finally. Whether Rose fights one more contender to earn the shot or just gets the shot right away, it's such a big fight. in the sport of women's MMA, the biggest fight you could ever make right now that would make a lot of money for the UFC. Big fight for the strawweight division. And I just feel like the time is now. Weili just got her belt back. Legacy-wise, this is a good fight for Zhang Weili to, get a win over every strawweight champion, or maybe for Rose to get the ultimate redemption, beating Weili, who everyone sees as the best, and winning back respect of the fans, after that stinker against Carla. She could get the belt back, go 3-0 over Weili, and be the first 3X strawweight champion. But I do see this fight being made and it happening in 2023. I think they will complete their trilogy. And for prediction number 6, I'm going to go bold here. I made a very similar prediction last year with Charles Oliveira. I predicted he was going to lose the belt, and I was not wrong. But Valentina is such a dominant champion, so I'm even less confident here. But I'm going to predict that in 2023, we are going to see a title change in women's flyweight, and we are going to see a brand new champion, whether it be Alexa Grasso or Talia Santos. I feel like Valentina is regressing ever so slightly. Maybe the Talia fight could be an off night, a fluke, but Valentina has been looking not so impressive lately, even before her finish over Lauren Murphy. She didn't look as good in that fight. The Jennifer Maia performance was very concerning. Maybe the Talia performance could have just been a style thing. Maybe Talia stylistically is just a bad matchup, but Talia will still be in the mix. And I believe she will get back to another title shot this year. And I honestly see Valentina losing to her. But also I believe the competition in women's flyweight, it's getting better. And it's going to start catching up, to Valentina. Manon is coming. Talia's coming back. Grasso's coming, Erin Blanchfield. And who knows, maybe even Alexa Grasso could shock the world and become the women's flyweight champion. But I'm going to say either Grasso gets that belt or Talia Santos gets that belt. But I think this year we're going to see an upset loss happen to Valentina Shevchenko. For prediction number 7, I predict that Islam Makhachev finishes Alexander Volkanovski and becomes pound for pound number 1. This is a battle for the number 1 spot in the pound for pound rankings because Islam's 2, Volk is number 1. Both guys are on long win streaks. Both guys are super dominant. 2 of the most dominant fighters in the UFC right now, currently on win streaks. If Volk wins, he maintains that spot. But if Islam wins, he's taking that spot. And I think Islam is just too much for everyone. All the lightweights on the roster. And I don't think a featherweight, even though Volk is a big guy, he's not a small featherweight. I don't see him being the one to stop Islam. He could shock the world. He could get the upset, but I don't think he's going to have the answers for the chain grappling of Makhachev. And I sense Islam finding a sub somewhere in the mid rounds. And Volk will get sent back to the featherweight division and continue dominating there. But Islam spoils his attempts to become champ. And Islam will then be seen as like one of the greatest fighters of all time. And for prediction number 8, Triple C comes out of retirement against Aljamain Sterling. And I'm going to predict boldly that he wins. I mean, Rust could be a factor and Aljo's been more active. But if Rust does not affect Cejudo, this is a bad matchup for Aljamain Sterling. I've picked against Sterling so many times and not been right. But I got to be right at some point. Cejudo with his Olympic level wrestling could be enough to hold off the offensive grappling of Aljamain Sterling. And on the feet, he's better than Aljo. And I'm going to predict that he's going to get a finish on Sterling too. Cejudo's the underdog. People might expect him to lose, but I think Cejudo's going to come back. And by surprise, he's going to finish Aljamain Sterling. He might get a knockout on Aljo as well. Or he might just gas Sterling out and maul him in the late rounds to get a finish. But I just see Henry getting a finish to regain the men's bantamweight title. And I think if there's anyone in this division who could keep Cejudo sticking around, that could hold his interest to not leave after winning back the title, It's Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley's a draw in the men's bantamweight division in the UFC. He's the money fight, and the UFC, they're shelving him till July to get that title shot. So I think Cejudo finishes Aljamain Sterling to become the two-time bantamweight champion after years out of the game. And then he's going to turn around in the summer and he's going to defend the belt against Sean O'Malley in July. There's a storyline there. They both got bad blood stemming back from UFC 276. They're going to settle that rivalry inside the octagon. The build-up's going to be huge and it's going to be an amazing fight. I just think, Cejudo beating Sterling's going to open up the door for that O'Malley fight to happen. So I predict that he comes back, dethrones Sterling, and then fights Sean O'Malley. And for prediction number 9, I don't want this to happen, but I do think we're going to get the Jones versus Ngannou fight, and Francis Ngannou is going to finish John Bones Jones. He's going to knock him out in the first round. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be ugly because John Jones has not fought in 3 years. And it's no secret that John has been on, a downslide as of late with his recent performances over Thiago and Dominic Reyes. And then he's taking 3 years out and he's going to a new weight division against a beast like Ngannou. And that's going to be his first heavyweight fight. I don't care if he's put on size and muscle. John is not going to be used to carrying that big frame and going up against Ngannou. He's not going to be able to out-grapple Ngannou. Ngannou can stop the takedowns, and Ngannou's literally the same height, same reach. John's not going to be able to get away from that power, and I think his timing and rhythm's going to be off. And I think Ngannou's going to overwhelm Jones early and get him out of there. And maybe John Jones gets finished and retires. And I'm a John Jones fan. I don't want to see this happen, but I got to be realistic. And honestly, I think it will. And for prediction number 10, I think in the light heavyweight division, the belt will pass around, I believe, a couple of times. I sense that the winner of Hill versus Glover is going to drop the belt on their first defense. Jamal is a good fighter. He's exciting, but I feel like he's not going to be good enough to hold the belt. Glover is on the older side, so he could win this, but I don't see him maintaining that belt, especially if Magomed Ankalaev gets the winner. Magomed beats Glover, Magomed beats Hill, and we might see Magomed become champion and then defend against Yuri Prohashka, which will be a pretty good fight. For prediction number 11, I predict that both Irene Aldana and Alexa Grasso, 2 female Mexicans in the UFC, are going to fight for the belt. They are both going to get title shots this year. Grasso will get her shot at Valentina Shevchenko because Talia's not getting a rematch and Manon's out till August. So it just seems fitting that Grasso is going to be next. And I think that the UFC will give Irene Aldana a title shot at Amanda Nunes. Something tells me that will happen. Now, I can't predict whether both will become champions, although I really hope they do. I can predict confidently that this year we will see them fight for the belts. And then for prediction number 12, I predict that Khamzat Chimaev versus Colby Covington will happen. It's taking a while to be put together, but it's a fight that fans have been talking about and speculating about for some time. And I just feel like that they are gonna make the fight. Eventually, Colby Covington's gonna come back, and I think he will agree to fight Khamzat because there's a good backstory, a good rivalry there. And I think that's going to be a title eliminator to decide who fights the winner of Usman Edwards 3. Winner of this will fight for the welterweight title, especially if Khamzat wins. That opens up the door for him to fight either Leon Edwards, who he was supposed to fight 3 times, or Kamaru Usman, which honestly, in my opinion, is an even bigger fight. So yeah, Chimaev Covington will definitely be the fight that we see in 2023. A fight that fans want, and I think a fight that fans are going to get. And for my 13th and final prediction, this one's kind of obvious. Everyone knows it. But Mystic Mac, Conor McGregor, the Notorious, will return to action in the octagon. He's had a 2-year layoff after having that, devastating leg injury against Dustin Poirier. I believe this year, Conor will return. And we'll see him, I think, International Fight Week. I think they're going to hold him off till International Fight Week, Vegas in July, and we're going to see a big Conor McGregor fight, and it's going to be on a stacked pay-per-view. It could be against RDA, it could be against Tony, or the fight they're talking about is Michael Chandler. And Conor is an icon of MMA, and fans can't wait to see him come back, and neither can I. And I can't wait to see how his comeback turns out. But that's it for my 13 major predictions for MMA in 2023. Let me know if you agree with any of my predictions in the comment section down below. Tell me your predictions for this year. Like and subscribe, and peace out.